Hello, hello everyone. This is Rahmat Sobirov for our second webinar on TRV, which is temporary resident visa. We'll be waiting for about. I started early a little bit, 2 minutes early. We will start 11 a.m. sharp Toronto time. Now it's 10:58, so I will be waiting for some participants to join, the critical mass to join, so to say, and then we'll start the webinar. In the meantime, I will be just preparing myself, and we will see how many people. One person has joined now, and many others have immediately joined. Welcome, thank you for joining. I started the webinar a bit 1 minute early, so we will wait for 1 or 2 minutes. Welcome to our webinar. This is Rahmat Sobirov, and I hope you're doing fine. It's a sunny weather in Toronto, and in the meantime, let's turn this into a dialogue. I will be waiting for approximately 2-3 minutes for other people to join. Thank you for your patience. We will start in a bit. So in the meantime, if you can hear me and you can see me okay, would you mind sending a quick message in the chat box that everything is okay, technically speaking, because it's a live event. Sometimes internet connection is not perfect. If you're hearing me okay, please let me know. I will just initiate a chat here. And can you hear me okay? If you cannot hear me okay, please let me know before we start. And I hope it's you can see the video too, depending on your internet connection speed. We will be starting the webinar in a few moments. Okay, great. So before I begin, let me ask you this. I don't want this to be a monologue by me, and I would like to know more about you. Where are you from, and how is the weather on your side? So in the meantime, we will be waiting for some people to join. Which brings me to the more technical question. This is a live event, and we can also communicate with you on the chat box. So if you have any questions related to the subject matter, related to the topic, please don't hesitate to write your question to the chat box, in the chat box, and send it to me, because it's part of the dialogue. I will be presenting certain material and you will be asking questions naturally. I'll try to respond to those questions, but it will be at the end of our webinar, okay? So I think we're ready to start. It's been, let's wait for 1 more minute. I apologize. Let's wait for 1 more minute and we will start. In the meantime, you can check your chat box on the right-hand side. It's very convenient to send your questions live, in which I will try to respond at the end of the webinar. For those who just joined, thank you for joining. Welcome. We're about to start. You haven't missed anything. So I will start in a minute. In the meantime, try to check the chat box. You can send your questions. Feel free. Don't hesitate. This is not just a monologue by me. You can also communicate with me live. Okay. Thank you very much for everyone to join. For those who joined us, thank you very much for taking your time. I will start with a quick presentation, and this webinar is about visitor visa. What we know usually, visitor visa is called tourist visa, or sometimes officially it's called temporary resident visa. This is a visitor visa to Canada, and this specific topic is about how to convince the visa officer that you will return home, okay? All right. And welcome. Thank you for attending this free webinar. The organizational side of the webinar is the following. We will have a brief wrap-up of the previous webinar because it is very relevant. This is a kind of a continuation and more crystallization of the previous webinar. We discussed temporary resident visa, the visitor visa, last time. We are now focusing on one issue, so it's relevant and it will be useful for those who did not attend to get the sense of what was discussed previously. And we will focus on the most challenging aspect of the visitor visa application. Many people ask how to convince the visa officer that after visiting Canada, you will return to home country. That's one of the most challenging issues in our practice that people see in their application, because that's why sometimes many applications are refused. In this, it will take us about 30 minutes to present the material for you. There's also a bonus material at the end. We will focus on what's the most important issue in the visa officer's mind, according to our practice. Okay. Questions and answers will be at the end. So I encourage you to send your questions in the chat box related to this topic, to visitor visa application, and stay until the end of the webinar. You will get your questions answered as much as we can. Okay, formalities first. My name is Rahmat Sobirov. I'm the managing partner at Sobirov's Law Firm, a Canadian immigration law firm in Toronto. I manage an immigration law firm. We are a group of lawyers who focus on providing immigration legal services. In 2006, I came to Canada as a permanent resident and went through the very rewarding and challenging times of becoming a licensed lawyer in Canada. So as a lawyer, I have to make this disclaimer. The content provided in this webinar is for general information purposes only and does not constitute a legal or other professional advice or opinion of any kind. If you require a legal advice or legal opinion, please contact a licensed lawyer. Okay, now who's involved in doing this presentation? My team at Sobirov's Law Firm, and also we run a platform where we teach future Canadians, we call them future Canadians, we teach future Canadians how to get visas to Canada. So whenever you have time, please check our website, the platform website, which is immigrationshop.ca. Okay, now a quick wrap up of what was discussed previously. What was discussed previously was we discussed a temporary resident visa, which is commonly known as visitor visa and tourist visa, which is used for short-term purposes. And we discussed mainly 4 factors that affect the visitor visa application. Those factors were that, number 1, your trip to Canada is short-term, no longer than 6 months. And number 2 is that you will leave Canada after your visit. That's the factor number 2. We will focus on that factor today. Number 3, that you have sufficient funds for your trip to Canada. And number 4, that you will pose no threat of any kind to Canadian society. So that was the topic of our previous webinar. So what we are trying to do in this series of webinars is that we are trying to go from the general topic to the specific issue, to the most problematic issue, so that you improve your visa application in the next time. So we explained visitor visa requirements previously, and we focused on 4 key factors. Now we are focusing on one important issue, which is convincing the visa officer that you will return to Canada after your visit. So that's the general logic of what we are trying to do. And what will this webinar try to clarify for you regarding visitor visa is that it will try to remove uncertainty. We will try to explain what visa officer really wants to see in your visa application. We will try to remove inconsistency. Inconsistency meaning that you will have some kind of understanding why you didn't, what should be done to get the visa. But please consider that there's no consistency in there's no universal formula that applies to everyone. Every case is very, very different. Okay. Now we will try to also remove unpredictability. We will try to answer the question: will your documents, information, and background be enough to get visa to Canada? Okay. Now, so understanding the purpose. Now we delve into the topic of understanding the purpose of visit to Canada, which is one of the most important topics in your application. Before I do that, however, I need to let me clarify what is visitor visa used for. Okay. Because many people don't really understand what's the purpose of the visitor visa. It is a visa, visitor visa, which is known as TRV or tourist visa, is a short-term visit, is used for a short-term visit, which does not include staying in Canada to work or staying in Canada permanently. For example, in 2018, more than 20 million visitors visited Canada. And the main purpose of their visit was either tourism and sightseeing, because Canada is a beautiful country. They want to see the nature and enjoy it. Visiting family or friends who live in Canada, for visiting them for a special event, and so on. Traveling to Canada for business purposes, that's a business visitors. And traveling to Canada to upgrade your skills, such as improving language skills or other professional development of your career. So if you are attending this webinar today, you probably have a very good reason that fits into one of these categories above. It's important that you understand that the visitor visa can be used for certain purposes. It cannot be used for, let's say, to work in Canada or to stay permanently. So you need to be honest with yourself and with the visa officer and understand what's the purpose of visiting Canada. What's your purpose of visiting Canada? Does it fit to one of these categories? Okay, so the purpose, in a nutshell, the purpose must be genuine and it must be short-term. Okay. So one of the questions that the visa officer will look into is that whether or not you will leave Canada after your visit and return to your home country or country of your residence. Once the officer is clear with the purpose, that's the question that they ask, is that, are you likely to leave Canada after your visit? Will you respect the conditions of your stay while in Canada? And are you a trustworthy individual? So to answer the first question, which is, are you likely to leave Canada after your visit? The officer will look into your personal circumstances and try to understand whether or not you have a motivation to go back to your home country after your visit to Canada. We will discuss it in the next slide in more detail, but let me focus on the second question is, are you trustworthy? Which means, to answer the second question, the visa officer will assess your trustworthiness and determine if you will likely breach immigration laws of Canada during your stay in Canada. So by this, I mean, will you be engaged in unauthorized employment or activity while in Canada, or overstay your visa while in Canada? So you might wonder, how would a visa officer know about my motivations and trustworthiness if the visa officer haven't met me? So, but this is the difficulty. It's your job to convince the visa officer that you will leave Canada at the end of your stay and that you are a trustworthy person using documents only. There's no interview as such, no in-person meeting with the visa officer. That's why supporting documents and careful preparation of your documents and application package is very, very important. Okay, now we go into the focus on the first question here, so which relates to your ties to home country. Okay, to show the ties to your home country, to show that you have strong ties in your home country that will bring you back from Canada to your home country, is to show that you are connected. So which is referred to ties to home country, which is a general understanding, general notion of what connects you to your home country. What's that brings you back from Canada. So we suggest in this scenario, to show your ties to your home country, we suggest first of all the following steps to follow. Make a list of everything, literally everything that connects you to your home country, or if you're living outside of your home country, to your country of residence. This list will help you to highlight the strongest ties and collect documents according to those ties. So the second step of course will be gathering evidence that shows those strong ties. For example, the ties could be strong family ties outside of Canada or a place of residence, as I said. You need to show that your family lives there, for example, your family ties. Birth certificates, of course, and documents that show your family lives and resides in the home country. Your marriage certificate, of course, if you're married, and your siblings, parents, that they are staying in your home country while you travel to Canada. Okay, and also another type of connection and tie to your home country could be gainful employment outside of Canada, which means in your home country or place of residence. You need to collect such documents as letter from employer, pay stubs that show that you're getting salary each month or twice in a month, your vacation permission that your employer allows you to get a vacation and travel to Canada. If you own your own business, if you are a self-employed, a business owner, you need to show everything that shows your business activities. So, which is registration documents of your business, insurance, financials of your company, how many employees you hire, or how many employees work for you at the same time. So these are the connections that shows you're gainful, that you gain money, your employment is not uncertain. You have a gainful employment in your home country. That's another strong tie that we suggested that you include. Continuing education outside of Canada, in your home country or your place of residence. If you are a student or doing your PhD in your home country, show those documents. Educational diplomas, transcript, proof of education, anything related to your current activity as a student. Establishment in home country, another category of documents that you need to show is you may want to include reference letters, licenses, whatever license you have. For example, if you're a doctor or a lawyer, you should show your license that you have from your home country. A resume sometimes helps you too, because this shows that you are a professional working and successfully in your home country. Property ownership documents is another category that shows your financial establishment in your home country. So assets, anything that shows your financial capacity outside of Canada, please include that. Okay, and I, as a practicing lawyer, I also suggest to show your personal commitments in your home country. Don't hesitate to highlight or include evidence of personal commitments and events in the future that will bring you back from Canada. Many people have have families, family obligations, family commitments, or certain, taking care of their parents or siblings. So any personal commitments that forces you back from Canada to return to your home country, please include those two, okay? Let me quickly check now. We are in the middle of the presentation. Let me quickly check the chat box. The chat box, okay. So in the chat box, I am receiving some questions. Thank you very much. I will get back to the questions at the end of the presentation after I present. But please don't hesitate to put it in the chat box, and we will try to answer those questions. I hope you're hearing me and seeing the presentation okay. If not, if for some reason the presentation or my audio is not received by your side, there will be a replay of this recording. This is a live recording, so we will send you a link for the replay if we have some technical issues. I apologize in advance. So next, we now discussed how to show your ties to your home country, okay? These are our suggestions based on our experience. Now we will address the second part of the issue, is proving your trustworthiness. What are the factors? What is the evidence? So if you remember, I mentioned that the visa officer has to establish that you are a trustworthy person by looking at your evidences. They will not be interviewing you face to face. So you have to include evidences of your trustworthiness. So what are those evidences? Let's connect to that. So now we have to convince that the visa officer that you can be trusted. How can we do it? In order to decide if you are a trustworthy person, the visa officer will look into a number of factors, number of things, such as your previous travel history. The questions are to answer in this section is, which countries have you visited in the past? Did you breach any laws of any country that you visited before? What are the conditions in your home country in terms of safety and security? Is your country politically or economically stable country? Of course, these are the conditions in your home country is something beyond your control. This is not something that you control, but this factor is also taken into account. Okay, all these factors influence the visa officer's decision-making. Since it's your job to convince the visa officer that you can be trusted, we suggest to include evidence in your application package that shows that you have traveled before. The more countries, the better, so that you have obtained visa, went to a certain foreign country, and came back without violating the laws of that country. If you're currently residing in a foreign country other than your home country, show the evidences of your legal stay in that country, okay? Your legal status in that country. For example, if you're a Turkish citizen studying in Germany, show that you are legally in Germany. So include those documents, which increases your level of trustworthiness with respect to visa officer. Okay, of course, if you have bad history, let's call it a bad history of overstaying your visa in any country or in Canada, if you've traveled to Canada before, it will be difficult to prove that you are a trustworthy person. But you can explain what had happened, why you overstayed, why things were different at that time, and you need to include a letter explaining your bad history of traveling. Okay. The visa officer will also assess the conditions in your home country, which is, as I said, is beyond your control. You don't really control the conditions in your home country. And your personal profile, if there might be if there is any reason for you to stay in Canada permanently. So there is an objective analysis by the visa officer about your country of residence or country of citizenship. It's a harsh truth that if you are from a country that is in a conflict or in a war, it will be harder for you to convince visa officer that it will be harder to convince visa officers that your genuine intention is short-term with respect to Canada, so that you will go to Canada and return. It will be really hard, but you should also emphasize in your letter of explanation that you are aware of your conditions in your country, that you have never breached immigration laws and you will not breach them in Canada. So letter of explanation really helps. Okay. These are the two aspects. So let's wrap up until now. First is your ties to your home country. Try to show with as many documents as you can, objectively, that you have ties in your home country. That brings you back to from Canada. And second aspect is that you are a trustworthy person. You are a trustworthy traveler. You've traveled to foreign countries and you came back. You never breached the country's laws or immigration laws. So you need to cover these two bases, two analysis in your documents, in your visa application. So now I'm almost at the end of my presentation. Second is, so I promised you a bonus analysis, a bonus material, which is what's the most important issue in visa officers' mind. Last time I repeated this, so this might be a repetition for those who attended the previous webinar, but this is an important issue. That's why I'm retelling you this issue in this webinar. Based on our rich experience and observation of visitor visa applications, all factors handled, your financial ability is the most important and all-encompassing issue in the visa officer's mind. Why? Because you might be, this financial ability is very important because it relates to your earnings in your home country, your job security. It relates to economic conditions in your home country. It reflects on your motivation and previous travel history. It shows if you are financially stable, you probably have traveled to other foreign countries. It relates to your willingness to return from Canada to your home country. So it affects many aspects of your background, many aspects of your application too. And please understand that whenever you submit an application as a visitor visa, the analysis of the visa officer is that they will look at you as a spender who comes to Canada as a visitor, spends money in Canada, not earn, mostly spends money as a tourist, and goes back to home country. That's why it's an inconvenient truth that if you have in your country of origin, or your income is about $100 a month, how can you convince visa officer that you are going to Canada to spend money? Because in Canada, for a day of your visit, you will probably spend $100 a night. So that's the reality you have to address, because visitor visa, the tourist visa, does not fit for all purposes. It's the main purpose is to visit Canada and come back, spend in Canada and come back. So if you don't fit into this visitor visa, you shouldn't be applying for visitor visa. If your purpose is totally different, there are different types of visa applications. You should consider other types of application. So summary, I will give you quick summary and quick tips. First things, you need to manage your expectation and understand that visa to Canada is not a right. You cannot demand a visa. Okay, you request visa because it's a privilege. The visa officer will assess you according to the visa type that you applied for. So that if you applied as a visitor, they will look at you as a spender, who comes to Canada and spends his money or her money. So manage your expectations so that you will not be disappointed. Identify the most suitable visa type and then apply. Okay. If your intention is to work in Canada and earn, visitor visa is not your visa. okay? So you need to apply for work permit, or if you want to study, you need to apply for study permit. And if you don't satisfy the requirements of a visa, after you analyze that you don't fit into that visa type, don't rush, prepare yourself, and then apply, okay? If you prepare yourself to apply to visa. There's a common mistake that people make, is that no matter what, I should get any type of visa, I will go to Canada and then decide what to do then. This is not a sustainable approach. This is not a winning approach. You need to correct your approach, prepare yourself, and then apply. And please, as a friend, I will tell you this: don't try to cheat the system, because it will leave bad record of your file, of your background on the Canadian side. So if you try to cheat and say, yeah, I will say whatever they want, in order to get visa, this is not a sustainable approach either. Document collection and preparation is very important, as we've seen in this webinar. Help the visa officer to understand your application package. If necessary, please include your letter of explanation, or a cover letter that explains everything in your application, okay? Always keep a copy of your documents that you submitted to Canada, because it's for your future reference. Make a list of ties, as I said, related to your home country. Analyze those ties. And of course, if your documents are not in English or French, please have them translated, okay? As I said, include a detailed explanation letter addressing all major factors in your application. Okay, almost done. So a magic formula. Many people ask about a magic formula on how to get visa. We suggest that before asking how to get visa, you need to see why you want to go to Canada. You need to analyze and be honest with yourself why you want to go to Canada, and what's in your background that supports your purpose to coming to Canada. Only after that, then you should ask how to get visa, or certain visa to Canada. If you want the magic formula, that's the magic formula. Before how, ask why and what. Okay. If you want to learn more about how to get visas to Canada, check out our website, which is immigrationshop.ca. It's a visa courses that we prepare and teach you how to get visas to Canada, and we go into a lot of details in those courses, and we give you a lot of template documents too. Okay, now thank you, and good luck in your applications. I have some questions on the chat box, on the chat window. Let me see. If an individual is in common law relationship to a person outside of their country of citizenship, which country should that person show ties to? Common law, first of all, common law relationship is a relationship where two individuals share the same address and share almost married, husband and wife, or partner and partner relationship in the same location. So first things is a challenge to prove that they are in common law relationship if they are located in two different countries. The best strategy for that, if they are serious, they should it's better for them to formalize their relationship, because if you are married, it's okay. You can explain that you live in different countries, but you are married. Okay, there's a marriage certificate. Which country should that person show ties to? They should show ties to their home country, and also explain that the country of residence of their partner is different. So everything that you cannot hear me. Okay, I think there is a technical issue, but we will send you the replay. So let me answer your question, and you will see the answer in the replay. I apologize for the technical issue. So coming back to your question, which countries should that person show ties to? First of all, they should show ties to their country of citizenship, and also explain that their common law partner lives in another country other than the country of citizenship. So it's the question, not which, the more problematic question is not which country of, to which country they should show the ties. The more problematic question in this scenario is the proving of common law partnership, okay? That's the main issue. But the person who is applying to visa, the priority is show ties to your country of citizenship, because that individual is not really connected to the country where the common law partner lives, okay? That's why focus on the country of citizenship and prepare your documents accordingly. I think that's it for now. We try to manage in 35 minutes, which is good. Thank you for your time. I appreciate. So someone has raised your, yeah, I got all your emails, those who registered for this webinar. There will be a replay sent to you as a registrar. And if you want to watch the replay of the previous longer webinar, there's a link in the chat box. You can watch that replay too. Okay, I think we are done for today. See you next time. Please stay in touch. We will be doing more webinars in the future, and I hope this webinar will be useful for your visa applications. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Bye.